Well, I certainly didn't pick the best day for a little hike. So I probably won't go too far. I can't go too far anyways. I am still tending to this sore back. It's really bugging me. I am pretty sure it's my one of my discs, because I feel it into my I feel my SI joint, which I've had before, and I also can really feel my sciatic nerve. It's really bugging me. So I'm in some pretty flat country today, and more so just getting out to stretch the legs. Sounds like maybe a eagle or something down here at this river. I'm not going to be able to make it down there because it's too steep for what I can do today. It's either an eagle or a hawk or something. I can hear it screeching away. Finally, the weather let up a little bit. It's been raining pretty hard for the last few days. Oh man. Oh, the guy can even take a seat. I'm going to try to make it fairly quick because I don't think the weather's going to hold out for me here, but we'll see what we can do. As I said, I didn't bring my waterproof camera. I just brought my Osmo, my Pocket 3 camera. So, and I'm pretty much done hiking. I went for about an hour, maybe a little bit more. Real level ground because my back is really screwed. My back's not really getting a lot better right now. I think it is one of my discs because it's goes into my SI joint and my sciatic nerve, so it makes it pretty uncomfortable. But whatever, I'll survive. I will survive. I hope everybody's doing good, having a good day, and hope you're safe. Hope you're doing what you love to do, and we'll see if we can get a couple of emails read here because we're stocking up. We're stocking up. Haha, psyched all you guys that are just here to listen to the emails. Put the glasses on. Oh man, dirty. So thanks for all the comments, you guys, on those on the jacket review that Mrs. Outlaw and I did. That was real nice of you guys. It was that was pretty cool. I won't put my name on any product. I try the product out first because I won't promote anything on my channel if it's junk. I'll try it. If it's good, then I'll do a review on it. But if it's junk, I'm not going to do a review because I just don't want to put a company down or give them a bad review or whatever. So, but those jackets are real nice. They're a nice jacket for everyday use, and then when it gets real cold out, nice to be able to turn the heat on. So, yeah. So check them out. Venus Official. All right, I'm going on with the glasses because holy crap, it's getting cold out. It's damn near snow here, but not quite. It's damn near snow, but not quite. Okay, let's find an email here. Okay. There we are. Good day, Darren. I recently discovered your channel and think it's solid gold. Thanks, man. Keep up the good work. People need a spot where they can tell their story, and I'm glad you made this channel. I'd like to tell you a story about my friend's father. I live in Ontario in a small gold mining town, completely surrounded by wilderness for hundreds of miles. There are many other small communities up here like mine, and we all share the same thing: trees, trees, and more trees. If it wasn't for the gold discovered here, this place would still be trees. Although I personally have never had any encounters in the woods with anything out of the ordinary, my friend's father has. I am friends with a guy named Earl, who is about 30 years my elder. He and his family live in a village just north of town. They are an outdoors family, using firewood as the only source of heat and for cooking. They hunted and fished and spent their entire lives in the wilderness. He likes hunting moose with a crossbow and even hunts and eats squirrels sometimes using a high-powered pellet gun. He says they're pretty good eating. Earl's father was a logger by trade and spent a good part of his life cutting trees down using heavy equipment. Earl himself owned a diamond drill which he used for sampling the land for its gold content. Needless to say, he and his family know how to live off the land in just about every way you possibly could. Earl is a no-nonsense kind of guy and is a bit rough around the edges, to say the least. Let's just say it's a good idea to be on his good side, as he is known for his temper. I'd trust him with my life, but if I was on his bad side, I'd be scared for my life. That's the kind of guy Earl is. Well, one night, while we sitting at his kitchen table, he shared a story with me about his father. As mentioned earlier, his father was a logger, and this was his 9-to-5 job, basically. He didn't have far to commute to work, seeing as the entire forest behind his house was jack pine, and this is where he made his living. He operated loaders and skid steers and trucks and all other kinds of equipment used to remove trees from the bush. He was an even more no-nonsense kind of guy than Earl was, working hard every day and dealing with heavy equipment all day and every day. Well, one day, as he was cutting down trees, he saw a very large black mass peeking out from behind a pine tree. He was familiar with every animal of the forest, seeing as he has eaten most of them, and he didn't know what this was. It scared him to the point that he not only quit logging, but he never went back in the woods again. And this is a rough, tough kind of guy we're talking about. A guy who has shot every kind of large game around here, from black bear to moose. He was absolutely terrified by what he saw, knowing that it wasn't an animal. This affected Earl in a profound way. Seeing his rough, tough father scared senseless was not something he was familiar with. And even decades later, it still affected him as he was talking about it. His father cut down his last tree that day, and he sold all of the logging equipment, and I don't know what happened after that. But after hearing that story, I find myself checking my surroundings a lot more when I'm out four-wheeling. Be safe out there, Darren. and no name. No name. Boy, I'd like to know some more details of what Earl's dad saw. I mean, obviously he saw a large black mass peeking out from behind a tree. You know, not thinking it's a moose or a bear, but you know, it sounds to me like very possibly one of these beings. Yeah, I got it. There's no name on that one. So unless I copied and pasted it and didn't copy the person's name, which I'll check into later, but if you sent that email in, email me again and just let me know if Earl's dad is still around and if there's a little bit more detail on that. But I understand where he's coming from. I've had things happen to me out in the bush, and I know that some of the occurrences I've had are these beings, so that scares the living shit out of you. But okay, let's get on to another one here. Let's go to the next one and mark that one as complete, red. Okay, here we go. Hey, Mr. Outlaw. I hope all is well with you. My name is Don Wiseman, and I live in Northern Ontario. I've been subscribed to your channel for quite some time now, and I've really enjoyed all of your videos. You and I share a lot of the same passions, and I used to spend most of my free time wandering the wilderness in Northern Ontario and Labrador. I used to love canoeing, camping, fishing, as well as small game hunting. I never really got into hunting big game, but I did join my dad and uncle on a few deer and moose trips. I think you and I are ground from the same stone, as I also spent most of my time in the woods alone. I would do weekend trips as well as trips for several weeks, canoeing and portaging the wild lands. My longest trip in the woods was back in 2004, and unfortunately it was the last time I ever ventured out into the wilderness. My plan for this trip was to canoe and portage a chain of lakes that would take me about 20 days to complete. Wow. I planned my route, had enough freeze-dried meals and snacks to last the duration, and my pack full of gear. Unlike you, I've never filmed any of my trips, but I do take pictures, just no video. I was about 2 weeks into this 3 or 4 week trek when I had an experience that changed my life forever. I had camp set up on the shore of a lake and had a nice fire going while I boiled my water for my dinner. It was late afternoon, but still full daylight, when I heard a crack that sounded identical to thunder. But it was a clear afternoon without a cloud in the sky. It startled me just because it was so loud. I started to think that maybe it was a gunshot, but it sounded slightly different. I got up and walked away from the fire a little so that I could hear better, and seconds later I heard another very loud crack from the same direction as the first. I realized then that the sound I was hearing was large trees breaking and not thunder or a gunshot. The odd thing was there was no wind as well. My mind now went to what kind of animal is doing this. I immediately thought of bull moose breaking the trees. It was mid-September, and the mating season is generally around that time. I stood there and listened for a while longer and never heard any more. I went back to my fire and finished making my dinner. Once I was done dinner, I loaded the fire and sat there staring at the fire as it got dark. Just as the light made it difficult to see the bush, I once again heard another loud crack, followed immediately by a long, deep growling sound similar to that of a mountain lion, but it was a real long, deep growl. Well, this scared the shit out of me because I had no idea what could have made this noise and broken those trees. The first growl was off to the north of my tent and sounded like it was a few hundred feet from me. And then 15-20 seconds later, a scream came from the west of my camp and was much closer than the first. This went on for probably 15 minutes. I was absolutely terrified and didn't know what to do. I had a satellite phone in my pack, but I didn't want to leave the comfort of the fire. I eventually made way to the tent and grabbed the phone. I went back and stood at the fire, waiting for the next horrifying noise, and I dialed my dad's number on the sat phone. I waited and waited, but the call failed and I couldn't connect. Just then, directly behind me, maybe 50 feet away, this thing roared like a tiger, and I felt the vibration deep in my chest. I screamed at the top of my lungs at this thing, and I'm certain I was in tears at this time. Darren, I thought I was going to be killed by some beast that I hadn't seen. I can't tell you how scared I was. There's no words to explain it. This carried on for many hours. There would be breaks of a few minutes where there were no sounds, and I almost went to my tent, but then it started again and keep me at my fire. One of the growls was so close behind me that I was afraid to turn around. But I did, and when I shone my flashlight into the trees, I saw two sets of huge eyes and a bit of a figure. The eyes looked to be 10 to 12 inches apart and were at least 8 feet off the ground. Almost as soon as the light hit the eyes, the figure moved and was gone. That was the only time I actually saw anything, but the screaming and roaring continued for hours. I kept throwing logs on the fire in attempt to scare these monsters off, but it did nothing. After what seemed like all night long, everything went quiet, and I sat on the ground by the fire and tried again to call my dad. When I looked at the sat phone, it was 2:30 a.m. This all started before dark, which was probably around 7 o'clock, I'm guessing. I tried my dad again, and it connected. This time, but only long enough for me to say, "Hey Dad, I'm okay, but..." And then I lost signal again. As soon as I lost signal, the effing screaming started again, and I lost it. I was screaming back and cursing at whatever was tormenting me. I was mentally exhausted and felt like giving up. There was another 4 hours or so of this tree breaking and horrible screams, and all I could do was stand by the fire and pray. Finally, as daybreak came around 6:30 a.m., it stopped and went silent. I waited as it got lighter out, but there was no more. Sorry. I waited, and as it got lighter out, but there was no more noises. I called my dad again, and finally was able to get through and talk with him. Dad was 79 at that time, but sharp as a tack. And he said, "Son, pack up and head for home." I said, "If I leave right now, Dad, I'm still 3 days to the nearest road." Dad said, "Pack your gear, get at it, and I'll pick you up at the river crossing on the highway." He told me to call him twice a day until he picks me up. I packed up, and when I left that spot, I walked through where the noises came from to get to my canoe, and what I saw still haunts me to this day. There were human-looking footprints all around my camp, and many broken trees. 12 to 14 foot off the ground, and these weren't small trees. They were anywhere from 8 to 16 inches in diameter. 3 sleepless nights later, I met up with Dad at the highway. My uncle and both my cousins were with him. I ran to Dad and gave him a hug. I'm sure I was crying again, but I don't really remember. It took me a few days to even be able to try and explain to all of them what I went through. I was 51 years old when this happened to me. I wasn't a young fella. I wasn't new to the wilderness. I was what I considered a seasoned outdoor enthusiast. This wasn't my first trip alone in the woods, but it certainly was my last. I haven't been able to return to the wilderness since this happened, and now I know that I never will. The memories of this horrifying trip still haunt me to this day, and I cannot step foot into the woods. My canoe has never been back in the water, and my hiking boots are packed away, likely to never be worn again. Just typing this email to you makes me shake and feel like it was only yesterday. I live in fear now, and it saddens me, but I can't overcome it. I watch your videos and I have a flashback and pray that you never have to experience what I did. I know you've had some of your own encounters with these things, but I hope they never do to you what they've done to me. Please always listen to your senses and don't push your luck with these creatures. I don't believe for a second that they are friendly. I believe they want us to fear the woods and them. Take care of yourself, and please listen to the advice that you give all of us. Be safe. Jesus, Dawn. Well, man, oh man. Sent shivers up my spine right now. And it's complete daylight. Dawn. That sounds absolutely horrifying, man. Like, holy shit. Good thing I didn't read that email when I was out on my alone trip. That probably would have sent me packing. To be like so remote, completely on your own, and have something like that is tormenting. That is like, man, that would play with your mind. Holy shit. That's something else, Don. I'd like to know where you are. I know you said Northern Ontario. I'd like to reach out to you. I know I say that to everybody. I have reached out to a few people. I will reach out to you, Don. I'm going to email you back and see if you want to share your number with me, and I'll give you a phone call. So 2004, I think you said. So 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, 51. So you're now your dad's age. You're 71, and my math is right. And you've never been back in the bush. I'd like to know, have you ventured out at all? Or was that it? Were you done? What a horrifying friggin' encounter, man. And the thing I don't understand is these things tormented you and scared the shit out of you, but never did anything. What is that all about? Did they just want you out of there? I mean, obviously, if they wanted to kill you, they would have. But they didn't. I know you obviously were traumatized and like probably scared silly. I know I would be. And I'm like you, I'm a seasoned outdoorsman, but that's insane. That's friggin' insane. Holy shit. Thanks, Dawn. I will get in touch with you, my friend. See if we got time for one more. I have no idea how long we've been, you guys. Gonna read one more. One more. If I hear any frickin' screams or growls, I'm out of here too. Here we go. Hey, Darren. I know you've asked me several times to feel free and share my encounter. Truth is, I'm a chicken. I'm a recluse, and I usually don't want anything to do with the spotlight. But I mulled it over, and I figure if it helps someone else open up about their experience that they've kept to themselves over fear of being labeled crazy, then so be it. I've had a few experiences, most recent being last July when I heard vocalizations for the first time in my life. It changed everything, and I caught the Sasquatch fever. You're welcome to use my name, Jennifer Mogren. My Sasquatch encounter happened in October of 1991 in Dunsmuir, California. It took me over 30 years to openly speak about my encounter. I was afraid of the ridicule that might ensue. I was pregnant with my eldest child. She's nearly 33 now. The house I lived in at the time was nestled right up against the Cascade Mountains in the far northern California. The backyard literally emptied into the wilderness with the Sacramento River right across the street about 30 yards. An old carport was attached to the house adjacent to the back porch to my left. Viewable through there was an old broken out window frame in the carport, and through that it looked out to the neighbors and into the woods. The light in there was on and it was utilized as a woodshed. I had a daily routine of going out to the backyard around dusk to call in my 3 cats for the night. So it was still light outside but getting dark. I first noticed how quiet it was when I went out on the porch. No crickets chirping, no birds, only the sound of the river. I called my cats for a spell with no response, and they usually came running because they knew it was dinner time. Then an eerie feeling of being watched came over me. I continued to call for my cats, but nothing. I felt drawn to my left, and when I looked over, there in the broken out window frame, watching me was a face. I instantly felt a jolt of fear hit me in the chest. Even my baby inside my belly reacted. It was about 30 feet away from where I was standing. Our eyes locked, and simultaneously this being and I both were startled. We stared at each other for about 3 seconds. In the first half second, my brain thought it was a person because it had light-colored green eyes like a human likeness. But I quickly realized in the other half of that second, it was not a human, just by the size of its head. It was easily 35 to 40 inches or longer from chin to the top of its head. And that was the only thing visible of it in the window frame. The eyes were deep set, a large pronounced brow with a human-like nose, sort of wide towards the bottom, a wide mouth with a pronounced lower lip. Its mouth gaped open slightly when we stared at each other. It was as shocked as I was, I'm guessing. And I saw blunt teeth. The hair around the face was a dark reddish black with streaks of gray around the face. The hairline was in the middle of the forehead. It encircled the face down below the lip, and the center of its face was bare skin. I'd say a grayish brown skin with speckled black freckles. Those 3 seconds went by, it seemed, in slow motion, when it suddenly turned in the direction of the mountains and ran. I stepped off the back porch and into the backyard to see if I could see its body. I could. As I watched, it was massive, easily taller than any human I'd ever seen, approximately 8 feet tall, with wide shoulders, no neck, long arms, and a noticeable round bubble butt. The hair covered its entire body, was the same colored reddish-black hair as on its face, except the bottom of its feet were bare. It was gone in less than 10 seconds. It scaled the steep mountainside like it was nothing, and gone as fast as it was suddenly there. I don't know if it was a male or female. I only saw the rear end. I immediately gave up calling my cats. I turned and went back inside to my bedroom that overlooked the backyard. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I stayed up watching out of the window for my cats, worried if it had gotten one of them. The adrenaline took a while to subside, and my baby daughter kicked continuously throughout the night. I knew she had felt everything. The next morning, after much coaxing, my cats scurried from different hiding spots to come inside. All of them were visibly terrified and paranoid, each rushing inside like something was after them, and it took a few days to get them to not be scared to go outside again. I can only speculate on its intentions that evening. If I had to guess, it was probably hunting my cats. I don't think it intended any harm to me. It was as shocked as I was when I turned and saw it. Either way, it was the most exhilarating encounter I've had so far. I hope I'm fortunate enough to have the experience again. Best regards. Always watch your 6 out there. I love your no nonsense, no bullshit way of storytelling. Jennifer Mogren. Well, Jennifer, that is hell. That is a hell of an experience. Wow. What a difference. You know, one man tells of an encounter where, you know, a man working outside sees just a glimpse of this thing, never goes in the bush again. Another man, a seasoned outdoorsman, is terrorized, absolutely terrorized by these things, never goes in the bush again. And then Jennifer sees one that closely and was scared, but is welcome to another encounter. Boy, oh boy. For something like that to be at your house, you know, it's one thing to see wild animals or wild things in wild places, but at your house, I guess obviously she lives pretty remotely if there's forest right behind her and stuff, but thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate that. And you know what? You'll never be ridiculed here. Anybody ridicules you, and I'll delete their ass from Outlaw Country. We're here to support each other. We're here to listen to each other. And we're here to gain as much knowledge as we can, because we all deserve it. And if people are gonna try to shoot you down for you sharing your story, I'll kick their ass off Outlaw Country. Period. No place for it. We're all here for each other. So thank you very much for sending that in, Jennifer. Appreciate it. And I'm gonna follow up with you as well. Okay, I mark these all as red so I don't get mixed up as I go through them, but I also put reminders in to get a hold of people, and I will get a hold of you, I promise you guys. I know I've said that. I've talked to a few people, obviously, and I just spoke with our friend Evelyn again, and Evelyn talked to me for like an hour and shared a whole bunch more insane stuff with me, and she's gonna email me another encounter that she told me about on the phone. She told me all about it, and I'm like, could you please write that in an email and send it through to me? So she said she would. Unreal. Unbelievable. Okay guys, I'm going to try to get up because now my back's kind of seized up. Thanks everybody for emailing in. If you've got something to share, send it in. outlawcountry1896@gmail.com and I will get it read. Okay? Be safe, be kind, don't be a douchebag. No place for douchebags at Outlaw Country. So, yeah, hope everybody has a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, I'm out.